Okay, 12:30 a.m.
WBOK 1230 AM New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. President Trump has announced Susan Menares as the nominee to lead the CDC, praising her experience in innovation, transparency, and public health. She was already serving as acting director. Greenland's Prime Minister Muttabee Iga criticized a visit from U.S. officials, calling it part of President Trump's aggressive pressure campaign. Second Lady Usha Vance is leading the delegation. Black Florida Senator Rosalind Osgood is advocating for a Bill of Rights for inmates, including air conditioning, meals, and toiletries. Senate Bill 358 addresses inmate treatment and revises the definition of permanently incapacitated inmate for medical relief. And Kansas City Chiefs Xavier Worthy is suing his ex-fiancée for assault, extortion, and property damage worth over $150,000. The black 21-year-old seeks up to $1 million in damages. He was recently arrested for domestic assault, but no charges were filed. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The New Orleans Teacher Job Board is hosting a citywide career fair for current and future educators. Explore open school positions, teacher certification pathways, and career growth opportunities. The career fair will take place this Saturday, April 5th, between the hours of 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. at Walter L. Cohen High School. Visit newschoolsforneworleans.org for more information and registration.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning and welcome to the Good Morning Show. Happy Tuesday, y'all. Happy Women's History Month as well. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. My super producer, Nyron Sanders, is also in the building, making certain everything works the way it should. I don't know what it is, y'all, but something is going on. I woke up this morning to a flat tire. And so I'm literally panicking because I don't have no other way to work. And then I'm like calling my mama. I might have called her 15, 20 times in a row because she lives around the corner from me. So I just needed her to get up to take me to work. I don't know what's going on with the car. The car is on the flat. So I called Nyron. I'm like, Nyron, where you at? Nyron is like, I'm getting up. I was like, I walk out, there's a flat. I'm calling my mama, and then I just decided to stop calling her, and I walked to her house. So I walked to her house. I'm ringing the doorbell. Ring, ring, ring. She has this doorbell, and I'm knocking. She finally comes to the door. I'm like, look, I need you to bring me to work. I'm going to be late. And so we get in the car, and I'm coming to work. I don't know what it is, y'all, but something is going on. The car is something about once you pay off something, it just gives you all kind of issues. I have no idea, but I'm trying to get that to y'all. Well, listen, happy Tuesday. Happy Women's History Month. I need to remind y'all that early voting is over, but you have one last opportunity to vote on March the 29th. That is Election Day. We're asking everybody to get out and vote. It is imperative. And the reason I want you to make certain that you get out and vote is because your governor is banking on you to stay home. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I saw it. The White House held a press conference, and one of the reporters was asking the president about this leaked war planning that happened over in an app. It happened over Signal, and the president asked. He was almost like clueless as to what the reporter was talking about. But the reporter was talking about a Signal app where all of these top government officials were discussing war plans, and somebody inside of the app inadvertently added a reporter to the planning of it. And so this is where we are. The media was asking him about it. He didn't know anything about it. But instead of talking about the question that was asked, your president decided to talk very negatively about the platform, The Atlantic, where the reporter works. He did not address the issue of Signal being used to discuss war plans. He did not respond to the insinuation or the fact that this reporter was added to the planning of the event. But what the president did say was he talked very negatively about the Atlantic, very negatively about everything except addressing why the guy was added to it. So who else was at the press conference? Our governor, and I believe it was the Speaker of the House. The Speaker of the House was on one side, our governor was on the other side. And I don't know if it was like a break in the press conference. I don't know why there's this time where nobody was at the podium, but the Speaker of the House and our governor started talking, and the Speaker of the House asked the governor, isn't there an election? And he said, yes, it's Saturday. Like, he's talking about the election while the cameras are still rolling. And they're talking about the percentage of people they're expecting to vote on election day. And the governor was like, is it going to be like about 12%? And he was like, yeah, about 12. He said, but I think it might be closer to 18%. So he's banking on between 12 and 18% of us coming out to vote. This is why this is so important, y'all. We have to make certain that we are voting, right? We have to get out and vote. There are 4 proposed constitutional amendments on the ballot. We need to make certain that we get out and we vote. The one that, for me, is near and dear to my heart is proposed constitutional amendment number 3. You do know that is the one that deals with being able to charge children as young as 14 with crimes. Look, I made it. Can they hear me on the thing now? I made it.
Listen, I've never done that before. That was interesting. But listen, that proposed constitutional amendment is set to make to be able to charge our children as young as 14 with, I call them discretionary crimes, because or it gives the legislator the I don't even know if it's the power, the freedom, whatever word we're going to put on it, but it gives the legislators discretion in terms of what crimes we're going to charge our children as adults for. We do know that there are about 16 crimes already listed on the books that if our children committed them, they would then go into an adult court, face adult incarceration. So you have to ask yourself, what is this really about? Right? And every time I do a panel or every time I sit in a room where these proposed constitutional amendments are being discussed, every single legislator or attorney who discusses them always says everything that he's going after, there's parameters that already exist for these things. So why are we removing guardrails, or why are we ignoring the guardrails that are already there, trying to reinvent the wheel? And the only thing that I could surmise from this is just a back door. That's what it sounds. That's what it looks and feels like to me. It feels like a back door for whatever agenda he's trying to push. We do know that Louisiana is being run by a MAGA-loving governor. We do know that he's been doing Project 2025 since before his president took office. Now he's trying to turn our government into a mini Doge. That's literally what is happening here. And when we talk about the idea that folks are trying to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then you have a bunch of buffoons in an app talking about war plans, and then you have us believe that this is about merit. If there was any sort of merit involved, somebody should have thought to say, maybe this isn't the correct platform to have these sorts of discussions, or maybe only one person can be in charge of adding folk to the chat. Because here's the thing, the guy that runs the Department of Defense didn't add the journalists. I believe the guy named Michael Waltz added the journalists to the chat. And then the crazy thing is, nobody noticed he was there. Imagine you discussing war business, sensitive information, but y'all was gung-ho about emails, Hillary Clinton's emails, and what she was saying in her emails. And y'all were gung-ho about emails, but we are discussing matters of national security in an app. And then we have a person who's not vetted, who's not elected, who's not appointed, who kind of like Elon, right? We have a person who doesn't have any sort of clearance to that level a part of the conversation. And look, kudos to the journalists, because I wouldn't have told you I was in the room either. I wouldn't have said anything. I like the fact that he just sat in the back of the room and paid attention to the class. I'm glad he did that, because he could have easily said, maybe are you sure you want me in this group? You know what I mean? Or you know how some older people be like, take me out this group. Y'all ever put an older person in a group chat and they don't know who the people are? Oh, baby, they're going to let you know. Look, could you please remove me from this group chat? That's what the older person going to say, because they don't have time for their phone to keep buzzing every time a notification come through. But could you imagine a government that wants to tell you about folk being purged from their workplace because it's about making certain that we cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. We're trying to make certain we put the best and the brightest in charge. This is about merit. And then you have a whole bunch of meritless, thinkless, can't tell the top from the bottom folk. Because, see, this is what happens when you put unqualified people in qualified positions. This is what happens. This is what happens. An app of all things, Signal. They were on Signal discussing war plans. But we talking about that because that's what the question was. There was a question posed to the president, because they were there. I skipped all over that. They were there talking about this economic surprise that they had for the state of Louisiana. He had to be in Washington to stand next to his cult leader to tell us about this economic development plan that they're like, he spent so much time in Washington, you would think that he actually got the cabinet job that he was looking for, that he was hoping for, which is why he went full MAGA, just like the guy in Florida. But it seems like the guy in Florida is a little bit upset because he's pushing back a little bit, because he too was vying for a cabinet position, just like Abbott was vying to stand next to their cult leader, but neither one of them made the cut. Neither one of them, not Landry, not Abbott, not DeSantis, none of them made the cut. So now they're wreaking havoc on their states because they still want to be in the favor of their MAGA-loving cult leader. It's almost insane the way that we allow white supremacy to operate unchecked. They're literally sitting. He knows there are cameras everywhere. He knows there are hot mics everywhere, and he's still with the Speaker of the House, who is from this state, talking about the election. And he's I guess what are you saying? He's assuming, or he's insinuating, or he's hoping, he's suggesting that the turnout is going to be low. He's actually banking on it, to be honest, because that's how he was elected. So, that's what he feels is going to happen. That's why he picked a March date to have this on the ballot. He's hoping that we don't turn up. And what I'm hoping we do, because we can't control the state. We really can't. We know what the state typically does when you have a right-leaning leader who's listening to a radical right-leaning leader. They don't do any research. They don't look up anything. They don't fact check anything. They listen to their leader. And if the leader is saying, oh, yes, vote for this, that's a teacher pay raise. Vote for this. This is how we make certain that lawyers are doing what lawyers are supposed to do. Vote for this. We want to make certain that we curb juvenile crime. Vote for this. We want to be able to make certain that the judges who are in place are the judges we appoint. Vote for this. And that's all they're going to hear. They're not going to hear, no, this is for kangaroo courts. This is to make certain that the wealthy people pay less taxes. This is to make certain that we target black children. And this is to make certain that we could put on the bench who we want on the bench. They're not going to tell it to you like that, because it's a backdoor to get what he wants. Because if your constitutional convention wouldn't have failed, you would have got what you wanted then, but it failed. So you looked for a way to slide it on in there. So you pretended that we were only going to talk about taxes, right? This is going to be a session on taxes. And then you blindside the legislators by talking about this crime bill. This idea that the children are running amok in New Orleans. The children are running amok in East Baton Rouge Parish. The children are running amok in Caddo Parish. right? You're not slick, Governor. You're not slick. I see you. A lot of folks see you. I know I see you. I think that there is something very scary about unchecked power. I think there's something very scary about wanting to roll back civil rights, this golden era. I was watching a clip, as I always do, and I'm trying to prep for the topics that we talk about here. I was watching this clip, and this guy was going on like a tour, and he wasn't in a room with folk who he knew would understand or would get it or would agree. He went to rooms where there are MAGA supporters. There are people who believe in rolling back folks' civil rights. And believe it or not, there were black folk in the room. And so the guy asked the black gentleman who was in the room, because he was next to, I don't know if that's his white girlfriend or his white best friend or his white friend, but she was white or she was other. She was something other than black, right? Because it's kind of dim in the room. And the guy asked a question. If you believe in this MAGA movement, right, can you tell me a period of time where America was ever great? And the black gentleman said, well, America was great when there was the economics were high and there was we were working towards equal rights for everybody. That's when America was great. He said, no. Well, give me a time. When was that America was great? And he could not answer. He could not give a specific moment, a specific time, but he talked very general, right? Very broad. Oh, it was great when we were working toward. And see, words matter to me. So I hear the thing that you don't say because you keep saying working towards. So that means you have not yet attained this greatness. So you want to go back to when we were working. And guess the time period he was talking about? The 60s. So the gentleman says, so you mean to tell me right now, you would teleport yourself back to the 60s? Because if you're saying America was great during that period of time, certainly you will want to go back to all of that greatness, all of that access, all of that equity, inequality, right? All of that integration. If it was great in the 60s, you should want to teleport yourself back, right? And so the white girl next to him, you know what she wanted to do? Other girl, I don't know what her ethnicity is, or she's something other than black, right? And she said, yeah, she's agreeing. She's agreeing because if she's not white, she's white passing. So she would have had to be worried about no dogs being let loose on her, no water hoses being sprayed on her, no lynching her because she looked the wrong way at a white woman, or she whistled apparently at a white woman. She wouldn't have had to worry about those things. So I'm certain that she wouldn't mind going back. But you sure you want to go back, sir? Huh? To that time. So maybe when they were assassinating our leaders, that's when you want to go back? The 60s? Because if it was so great, well, why they putting hits out on your leaders? The very leader that's asking for equity, right? Asking for civil liberties to be respected, asking for civil rights, asking to be treated humanely, and that's what they killed them for. So that's the time period you sure you want to go back to? I'm not certain that we even understand enough about what our ancestors endured to be able to respect the struggle. I don't even think we understand it, but that was the goal of white supremacy, to whitewash history so you don't respect the sacrifices. So you run around here talk about I am not my ancestors. You know how disrespectful that is to say? But that's why you can say it, because you don't understand the sacrifice. You don't understand everything that your bloodline endured so that you could breathe freely, so that you could walk on the same side of the street as white folk, so you could drink from the same water fountain, right? And I do know your leader at some point discovered that maybe integration was a burning house. Maybe it's not all it's cracked up to be. So when you have a current leader of the government talking about, going back to a time of segregation, there's black folk all over the world like, you think segregation gonna hurt us? Huh? Because there's some people who would go out on a limb and say black folk were doing better when it was just black folk looking after black folk and minding black folk business. There's people who would tell you that you're not gonna hurt us, baby. Right? We know how to make it do what it do with a whole lot of nothing. But yeah, it's been quite the morning, y'all. We gonna continue to talk about the issues that matter, but we got to take a break and pay a couple bills around here. But when we come back at the 7:25 mark, we're gonna talk to Dr. Antoine Jasmine, a New Orleans native. Will be hosting a special Women's History celebration called Our Treasure Queens on Saturday, March 29th at 2 p.m. at the Choice Event Place. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. Y'all stay tuned right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Trying to grow your business or increase traffic to your location? We can help. WBOK 1230 AM has a number of solutions that will meet your individual needs. Give one of our consultants a call today at 504-582-9420 or email us at info@wbok1230.com. And remember, an investment with WBOK is an investment in our community. Call today.
NOLA Public Schools is excited for the rest of this 24-25 school year journey with our families, watching our students dive into learning, growth, and success. As the school year continues, our dedicated educators are focused on keeping every student engaged and motivated. Let's keep embracing new challenges, celebrating achievements, and supporting each other to make the rest of this year even more impactful. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS through our social media channels for updates and resources. We're here to help our scholars attend today, achieve tomorrow.
Sunday mornings are reserved for a good word on WBOK. This Sunday, be sure to catch Dr. Kevin Stevens Sr., the pastor of Christian Unity Church, for service and a powerful, full, inspiring word. Listen live every Sunday morning right here on WBOK.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to Naira, y'all. Naira teleported me into work today. Shout out to Naira. Happy Women's History Month. And if you're just joining us, you missed a little conversation that we were having about our current president and our current leadership of the state of Louisiana. But we're going to go back to that. But right now, the floor belongs to Dr. Antoine Jasmine. He's a New Orleans native, y'all. Dr. Antoine Jasmine will be hosting a special Women's History celebration called Our Treasure Queens on Saturday, March 29th at 2 p.m. at the event, the Choice Event Place that is happening on Election Day, y'all. So please do not forget to go out and vote. Because if you're going to go to Dr. Jasmine's event, that means you got to vote early in the day or you got to vote after you go to his event, because the polls will be open until 8 p.m. And if you're already in the line, please do not leave. You have the right to vote up until 8 p.m. Please vote. Good morning, Doc. How you doing?
Good morning. How's it going?
Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Well, it's good to be here. Thank you.
And listen, he walked into the studio and he said, "You on fire this morning." I think the listeners will be saying, "She like that every morning. She like that every morning." But tell us more about you. You're from New Orleans?
I'm from New Orleans, but I live in New Orleans for the last 3 years, but I am a native of LaPlace, Louisiana.
Okay, so you went up the street. You went up the road.
Right down the road.
Right down the road. And so what inspired this women's, is it the inaugural? Is it something you've been doing annually? Talk to us about that.
Well, it is the first of its kind. I believe that it is good tribute because of the effects of grief from having a tragedy in my family, losing my mother and father on the same day.
I'm sorry to hear that, on the same day.
Same day due to COVID-19, the first wave of COVID. So I have weathered through that grief. So I wanted to be able to help others to navigate through their crisis and grief. And we want, in light of women we want to give tribute to women who have affected us, both high levels and just common women, whether it's a domestic worker or just a auntie, just someone that has impacted someone's life. So we wanted a platform just to give tribute to those type of people.
So that was your inspiration behind our Treasure Queens.
Yes, I'm a public servant, so I serve community. I'm involved with politics as well, and consult political people as well as faith-based people as well. And we wanted the opportunity to gather everyone in the same room and just bring a layer of healing to everyone in the room.
So can you talk to us about, are these the honorees whose pictures I'm looking at?
The pictures that you see are inspirational people that will share their story, how they've been impacted by their treasured queens. People such as a native of New Orleans, our mayor here, Mayor Cantrell. I believe she is a resilient. She's the first of her kind, first female black mayor of the city. Of course, past Dr. Deborah Martin, which is a native of New Orleans, her husband, Bishop Martin. Just to share life, she's been a very inspirational leading catalyst for my life personally. So I wanted these that are on the platform, this to share their views and give back to those who have come to give tribute to their treasure queens.
It says the Women's History Month, we are honoring our mothers, sisters, friends, daughters, grandmothers, mentors, and more who have transitioned from life but forever in our hearts. And it's what to bring. You're going to bring those treasured memories and or cherished items of your treasure queen. I don't know what it's like to lose a mother, but I did lose my father. My dad died in a prison infirmary, but that's another story for another day, because we talking Women's History Month. But what is that like to be able to navigate this space, and you're honoring women, trailblazing women who have done some remarkable things in their life and in their career, but you're doing so without your treasure queen? Because I know she has to be extremely proud of you for putting together something as of this magnitude. How does that? Do you feel like you carry the essence of her, or the spirit of her is all around you? Do you? Because I hear people say that when they lose a parent, it's like something about the aura of them is still very much present.
Well, I agree. That's very profound. You stated that. So I think I carry a lot of my mother's spirit. She would be the number one queen. She helped put me in private schools and promoted me up. I'm the last, I guess the baby, we would call it here in the South.
Yeah, that's what we would call it. You the baby. Small rock, yes.
So
yes.
The last of three boys, so she kind of gave her best. So yes, her aura, her presence remains. I think my dad, his spirit comes when he needs to, like a dad would. But mom will remain resilient forever.
Something about them mamas, and especially something about those mothers with sons, baby. So trust me, I get it. So what does the term treasure queens mean to you, and how do you define the impact of these women that they have on their communities?
Well, treasure queen is a leading catalyst, one that love is unconditional, the one that promote you even at crossroad life crisis. A treasure queen is one that have her own scars, and yet she can expose them to others. Kind of like metaphorically, the Bible story of Naomi and Ruth, a bitter woman that's been married, lose husbands, and just experienced a lot of trauma. But she inspires Ruth to just lay at the feet of Boaz. So she looked and saw life in another woman and was able to carefully not detour that woman from getting bitter. Even though she was bitter, she detoured her just to do this, and your life will be better. So
I don't know. I feel like this might be the event where the women go and find Boaz. Boaz might be in the building, huh? I'm just saying, because this sounds like that sort of event. So how can people register for your event? Is it still you're able to still register for tickets?
It's a free event. We have good food. It's a free. We will make sure that you are comfortable. Mm-hmm. We will have a balloon release as well, and we ask that each person to bring something monumentous of your queen that you represent, and they will be given an opportunity, those who want to speak, 2 minutes about their treasured queen. So
now you gonna have an open mic.
Well, I have a sergeant at arms. So
okay. Listen now, don't threaten us with no microphone now. But if the event is happening, you still have to RSVP on Eventbrite. I think that's just to make certain that you understand the numbers that you're dealing with.
The numbers, and then how many people to feed. And
yes. So you understand the numbers. So even though it's a free event, you guys, you need to go to Eventbrite to RSVP, and it's taking place this Saturday, March 29th at 2 p.m., 516 East Airline Highway, La Place, Louisiana, 70068, hosted by Dr. Antoine M. Jasmine, why do you feel it's important to honor women who may not have been widely recognized but have made significant contributions to their families and neighborhoods?
Well, I feel that sometimes it is the maid that is impactful in where she serves. And I'm going to be biblical a little bit. It was the maid that helped Naaman receive his healing of leprosy. It wasn't the preacher. It wasn't the bishop. It wasn't the celebrity.
That's because God doesn't call the qualified; He qualifies.
There you go. You're
the
preaching
called.
again.
Absolutely. Listen, I understand anointing, and you know, and when you understand anointing, you realize that at any given moment you could be entertaining an angel. I mean, I gotta come in some shape, form, or fashion, don't he?
Yes, sir.
I'm just saying, because listen, I do believe that. So I think that there is something very powerful in understanding that no matter how people. That's why I think honoring the humanity and people for me is so important, because you never know, whose energy you are entertaining and whose life and trajectory of their life that you're changing just by the words that you speak to them and the way that you handle or mishandle them, right? So in your experience, grief can be an isolating journey after loss. How does this event provide a sense of community and continued support for those grieving?
Well, you feel when you hear stories, you realize you're not by yourself, because grief will make you feel like, okay, life is serving you lemons, the bitter. I didn't foresee my parents leaving me just that tragic or that abrupt that way. So abrupt death is normally the most cruel way approach, and you could become real bitter and isolated. But because of my public service and faith and their resilient faith, and I believe that they are not necessarily dead, but they're absent from this life, but their presence are everywhere. I just feel that space, safe place, people can express their pain, their joy, and their laughter as well concerning their loved ones.
And listen, I know this part of it all too well, because when you lose anybody near and dear to you, it's all this love and all of this affection and all of the calls and all of the texts, and everybody wants to come over. What happens when all of that slows down? When the calls are fewer and fewer, when the visits are fewer and fewer, nobody's really checking on, but that grief is still sitting on you. It's still sitting with you. You're still trying to reconcile it. But the hype for the folk who are, supporting you, because life is life for everybody. So folk kind of go back to their corners. What is that like? What does that feel like? How do you navigate that space when everybody's going back to their respective corners?
Well, because of my background as a doctor and a minister and having background in funeral services, we kind of know that when we stand and say, hey, you may return back to your vehicle, and we want to continue to keep the families in prayers, we know that those calls will stop. Mm-hmm. So we help serve everybody. Now I'm in the seat of having to deal with those calls are going to stop. We're in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah. And
you can't hug. You have limited people at a funeral. So me experiencing that isolation was kind of all my life was kind of prepared for it. You just weather through it one day at a time. And because I'm always before a people and talking to people, my outpour, it helps my inpour. So the balancing of not being too isolated and too far out there and serving humanity helps. And God keeps the mind, the soul, and the spirit intact.
And let's talk about that for a second, because I don't think we appreciate enough, and I'm using the word appreciate because I don't think we understand enough how awful it is already, how tragic it is to lose somebody, but then to lose them during COVID, when you can't really send them off properly or have as many people surrounding you or paying respects to your parents. How was that experience? Did that feel like another layer of grief for you to lose them during a time such as COVID, but to not be able to honor them in the way that you probably would have had it not been for COVID?
It was another layer of trauma.
Yeah.
But being the youngest of three, I have a brother that was in prison for life at that time. That's another story. And a middle brother who, you have family rifts. He's the middle child.
Yeah.
So the middle
he
child
has his own things going on.
So he's giving commands and demands from Texas, and I'm the youngest, so
he's older.
Well, yeah, but
he's the boss of you.
I
That's
get
how
it,
he was feeling.
Well, he tried to be, so
Yes.
but we diffused that because you're in Texas
and I'm here.
I'm in Louisiana. My parents were with me. They traveled with me to Africa and other parts of the world. So we had that 3 card. So I was the closest to them. So, but I'm not spoiled in the sense of, hey, share. Take your parents to Texas with you. They're there. Take road trips with them. They're not sick. They can get around, move around. But not having that proper was traumatic. But I knew as a different son that my mother prayed, make the last one different from the others. I knew I had a duty to bury them honorably, regardless of who's there. Put them to rest on an honorable level that bring tribute to their lives to make them proud.
Yeah, because I attended quite a few funerals during the COVID time, and I think just to kind of see this different way of laying our loved ones to rest was some folk whose funerals I attended were drive-by.
Wow.
Funerals, like literally, like you had to just drive by and pay your respects. They weren't allowing folk, and I just think that's another layer of trauma or just grief that folk don't really give a real appreciation to, because it's like that just was the time. That's what we had to do, but that's still somebody's loved one. They don't get to see them and engage and love on family the way that they would have had it not been for COVID. So can you talk to us about what the attendees can expect from this wonderful celebration honoring some trailblazing women and honoring the life and legacy of those who are no longer with us? What can we expect?
I love your question. You get well together.
Listen, it might be a little black radio show, but we try to do our job, right? We try to shout out to my producer too.
You did your
want
homework.
to give me kudos.
Right?
You got to give him some kudos.
Well,
shout
good
out to
deal.
my producer for making certain that everything is in line
Yeah,
for you.
great hosting guy, was very hospitable coming in, so I felt very warm.
He's a sweetheart. He's a sweetheart. So what can the attendees expect?
I think the attendees should expect a warm, healing environment. Feel they will leave there lifted and uplifted, not saddened, but hopeful that they can transition or navigate through grief, because grief is a lifetime. So it comes in different layers.
And waves.
Yes.
You just find yourself, I took a huge loss in my life. It wasn't, my dad died, but that's not the loss I'm talking about. But I took a real personal hit. And I felt like for 3 years I wasn't breathing. Like,
wow.
you know what I mean? Like I don't even remember what I was doing or how I got through or what and so I can't say I understand what it's like to lose a mother, because my mother, thank God, is still here. She's the reason I'm literally sitting right here, because she brought me to
Mother
work this
came through
morning.
like clutch, right?
Yeah, but
Pull up, mother.
Right, but my grandmother is no longer here, and for a lot of us, our grandmothers are mothers, right? Our grandmothers in the Black community are gap fillers,
right?
Like they're everything, whatever you need them to be. That's who your grandmother was, and for all intents and purposes, our grandmothers are the ties that bind families together. And when you lose the matriarch, it's almost like the family becomes something different. It's not as unified as it once was. So do you feel that sense that like your family unit, your brothers, did you feel like your parents held that connectivity for you guys, and now that they're not here, you have to do more to be more like family?
Yeah, I think it is a struggle, because the unit is the mother is the rock. She is the go-to. She is the bearer of feelings and emotions. I would want to appeal to younger women who've been like yourself, who've been raised by a mother, a grandmother, that they carry out those legacies, those principles, those parables of how to bring the family together. Where's a brief family gathering, dinner, something to keep those old landmarks intact, because those mothers kept community. You didn't know mother was bleeding over maybe dad who stepped out of the marriage, but she was resilient to weather through that. You didn't know that she was, struggling in her mind, her heart. She was broken over
Oh, you
loss.
don't know that she didn't eat, so you could eat.
Right,
Like,
correct.
It's a whole lot of things mothers carry on them that we don't necessarily share, because it's our job to just fix it, right? It's our job to nurture.
Yes.
It's our job to comfort. It doesn't matter what's going on with us. And I think I really and truly believe it's the best job ever in the whole entire world. Like, but I'm somebody mama. So that's how I feel, right? But how do you think community gatherings like this can help heal the emotional wounds of loss, particularly for those who might not have had public ceremonies to honor their loved ones?
I think this would be opportunity because you have to, specifically from a male side, be humble enough to come and say, I need healing. I know.
Oh, let me get a bell. Hold on. I mean, my bell was so far away. Like, you said something right there because, and I don't mean to, stop your thought, but this idea that masculinity can't have feelings or you can't be vulnerable. Like, child, go ahead. Well, carry on.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty comfortable in my masculinity. Yeah. I can cry. The things you said today.
And you should.
Yeah, so it is. We want to give male that we've honored black men as well. Yeah. And we know black men specifically, because I'm a black man, can be egotistical and just egos, even in the area of faith-based preachers. Put down your ego. You still need prayer. You still need assistance. You can't be an island.
Hug. They need hugs.
But we egotistical, so I realized, no, I'm not. I'm sure I have an ego, but I know how to just digress and say, hey, I'm bleeding. Can you help me?
You know the best thing, something about a black man crying to me could move. Could just move the world, right?
Right.
But it's something about watching black men love and hug on each other like that does it for me. Like because I think it's what we need. Like a lot of these young boys out here, they need somebody to hug them. Like they ain't never been hugged on. They ain't never been told, I love you because I just love you. I don't need nothing from you. I just love you because you look like me. You look like my son. I think that there's healing and understanding that we can love on each other and we don't need no rhyme or reason, right? You just say something. See how you just trying to take me left, and I'm trying to talk about this. But if you're just joining us, we're talking to Dr. Antoine Jasmine and AMJ Worldwide. They're presenting Women's History Month celebration, honoring our treasure queens. It is happening this Saturday, March 29th, Election Day, y'all. Please go out and vote. It's taking place in La Place, 516 East Airline Highway at 2 p.m. And you're honoring some amazing women. So talk to us about the impact you feel certain women's presence will have, like the Honorable Mary Latoya Cantrell, Dr. Deborah Martin, Joanne McGill, she's a performing artist, and Doretha Wilson, she's a news anchor. And you also have China White, a rap artist. So you have something for everybody. Young people, middle-of-the-road people, our elders. Talk to us about what you feel like their presence will bring to amplify this event.
Well, I like variety. Now, I put on events all the time, so I wanted a variety to reach all reach. So because you have young people dealing with grief. China, it comes from the, back in the day with Lil Jon from Atlanta. So, but she's from New Orleans. So most of the people are from New Orleans. So I wanted to at least shine light on when my publicist says, hey, we need some recorded artists. Well, I have people I know. So let's get some of the locals and give tribute to them. I think by them being there, you got the preacher, you have the rap artist, you have the gospel artist,
variety,
you have the mayor of the city. So
Absolutely.
If your faith is a little bit not into the culture of church, you still, grief is grief. It has no label of denomination. We want to have a safe space for the people. I think by them being inspired, again, the objective would be to bring an environment of continual healing and hope that you can move on from this into something greater. And I will give steps of grief at the end, how to heal in this process, 5 steps. Not what you read in the book, but just my journey and how to.
And if y'all want the 5 steps, you're going to have to go to the event. We can't give you everything on the air. If you want those 5 steps, you have to go to the event. Dr. Antoine, do you see this being an annual event?
I feel it will be. As I'm preparing for it, it's getting a little bit emotional. I thought it would be like other events, but this is your mother is involved.
Yes.
So it's okay, all right, we have to find pictures again. We got to do this and that. Just that. Are you healed yet? I realized, no, I'm still healing.
Absolutely. And I think we're all in the ING stages of healing. I don't think you're ever healed.
Wow.
I think you transcend different layers of healing, but I think it stays in the ING phase. Because I don't know that I want to be healed, because I don't want that to be, I feel like if you're done with it, you don't get, I want to carry you every day. I want you to be right here every day. And I think it comes in waves. You have good days, you have bad days, but what message do you hope people will walk away with after attending this monumental event?
We want people to be healed from the grief, but also in my experiences with death, close up, we have to look at death in a different perspective because death has beauty as well.
You talking to folk from New Orleans, we celebrate life in these parts, right?
Yeah, I've seen them raise the caskets up over the head in second line.
We celebrate life in these parts, yes.
Yeah. Even after the celebration. There is still yet a view of death in that process, even one's own death, how you want people to view you. Are you prepared in your mind, your soul, your body? We want to live forever, but we know we would do all precautionaries to live long lives in health. But what if your creator pull your card? Are you prepared for that side? So we want to be able to give the beauty of that transition instead of the trauma and the tragedy of it. And there's a beauty even in death.
Well, may the works I've done speak for me. That is what we all hope, right? So listen, we want to thank Dr. Antoine Jasmine of AMJ Worldwide for coming.
AMJ the car, I got you.
For spending part of his morning with us talking about the Women's History Month celebration that we're hoping is an annual event honoring our treasure queens. The Women's History Month, we're honoring our mothers, sisters, friends, daughters, grandmothers, mentors, and more who have transitioned from life but forever in our hearts. That is taking place this Saturday, March 29th, 2025 at 2 p.m. He's asking you to bring any treasured memory or cherished item of your treasured queen. It is taking place at 516 East Airline Highway, La Place, Louisiana, 70068, and you can RSVP on Eventbrite, but the event is absolutely free. Have some dynamic speakers and some wonderful food and a wonderful host. Thank you, Dr. Jasmine,
for
joining us this morning. But listen, stay with us, y'all. We got to go to break and pay a couple bills, but when we come back, y'all know we're going to talk about it. It's a talk radio show. We're going to talk about it right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. Call 800-335-2299. That's 800-335-2299.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
WBOK and LCMC Health are proud to present Keeping You Well Cafe. 60 Minutes with LCMC Health, where the doctors speak directly to the people of New Orleans. LCMC Health is committed to improving the quality of care here in New Orleans, the Gulf South, and beyond. The Keeping You Well Cafe is another way for LCMC Health to engage with the community. At the Keeping You Well Cafe, LCMC Health joins WBOK and local businesses to answer your questions about wellness and health.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. My super producer, Nyron Sanders, is also in the building. If you're just joining us, you missed a conversation with Dr. Antoine Jasmine and AMJ Worldwide, and they're presenting the Women's History Month celebration honoring our treasured queens. It is happening this Saturday, Election Day, March 29th at 2 p.m. at 516 East Airline Highway in La Place, Louisiana. And you can RSVP on Eventbrite, but understand that it is a free event. They're going to have good food, good company too. There are some phenomenal women who are going to be there, taking the mic and giving you a piece of their story. And listen, it's Women's History Month, y'all. So happy Women's History Month to all the trailblazing, trend-setting women out of the city of New Orleans. We appreciate you here on WBOK. And if there's a woman you want to honor, you could always do so right here, 504-582-9422. I try each and every day to tell you that so you can share, your story of some phenomenal women who have done some wonderful things in your life. But as I stated, it's a radio talk show, so we're gonna talk. Let's talk radio. There's a story happening out of Baton Rouge that I don't know if you guys know about, but we're going to talk about it right here on WBOK, and it is regarding this young man. His name is Dwayne Washington. He is his family is looking for answers. He was biking in a residential community, and he was apparently hit by a Baton Rouge police officer. And the officer, the cousin who is sharing the story is saying that the community of Baton Rouge, while they may know what's going on, the broader community doesn't know what's going on because the media isn't covering the story. Apparently, this officer was speeding through a residential community, and he hit him while he was riding on his bike. The young man is actually in critical condition. He's not breathing on his own. The officer in question has only been on the force a few years. I don't even know if it's been 5 years, but he's pretty new to the force. But he's been in a number of situations since he's joined the force. But it says, please help us spread awareness on the police brutality that my cousin Didi experienced in Baton Rouge. He was hit by an officer while riding a bicycle in a residential area. He's currently on life support with very serious and severe injuries. The news outlets in Baton Rouge have not reported, and BRPD has not released a statement. So please help us boost this story. Well, that's what black radio is about. Like, we censor black voices and black experiences here on WBOK, and we want to make certain, and let's be very, very clear, the officer in question is also black. He's also black. And we want to make certain that we're very transparent here. And if the officer is listening, or if anybody from the Baton Rouge area is listening and it can help put some context on this this conversation, the number here is 504-582-9422. But the story that is being reported is that the officer was driving at a very high rate of speed. He was not responding to a call. He was not in an emergency situation. He wasn't in the act of chasing like a fleeing suspect, trying to do so in the interest of public safety. He was just speeding, and he hit this young man. The cousin says that the bike split in two. The only thing that was left of the bike was the front tire and the handlebar. And so to do that sort of damage to a bicycle, the rate of speed had to be out of line with what we require in residential communities. And we all want to make certain that we shed light on this situation. The guy's name is Dwayne Washington, Didi. I purposely didn't give the officer's name because there's no statement from BRPD. There's nothing for me to juxtapose it against. I know his name. I want to be fair in the situation. I'm just reporting what is out there. I do know that the media in Baton Rouge has been contacted, but as of yet, the cousin is saying that they have yet to cover the story. And you can find that she's all over every social media platform talking about this issue. But BRPD has not responded. She's even contacted the mayor, the coach that is currently running the city of Baton Rouge, and he has not made a statement. No one in a decision-making capacity for the Baton Rouge Police Department has come out and made a statement. And even when I search the incident using the young man's name, nothing comes up. Nothing comes up to give the city side of the story. And so that all we have right now is what the family is saying. And we hope and pray that, more comes out. Okay, so let's see. Here we are. So the WBRZ has finally picked up the story. It says Dwayne Washington's family said he was biking on Louise Street when he was allegedly hit by a BRPD vehicle. That's the headline from WBRZ Channel 2 in Baton Rouge. It says bicyclist recovering from 2 surgeries after reportedly being hit by a BRPD unit on Sunday morning. It says he was riding his bike after midnight when a BRPD officer was headed to a call. Now the article is saying he was headed to a call. The family is saying he was not responding to an emergency or a call for service. So we have 2 varying ways that this took place. So we're going to wait on the investigation to get exactly what took place. The family is saying one thing. This article is saying something else. It is saying the officer had his sirens on. Washington's family said police told them the officer did not see Washington and hit him near Thomas Delpit Drive. The family said they were not told the crash happened around midnight, but they were not. The family said they were told the crash happened around midnight, but they were not told about the incident until nearly 2 hours later. Additionally, they do not believe the officer had his lights and sirens on. Well, that should be easy to prove. If he was, if he has dash cam, if he's wearing body cam, if there are doorbell cameras on people's homes, it happened in a residential community. That should be easily resolved in terms of if he was responding to a call. That should be easily resolved by the communication between dispatch and the officer. All of these things that are being questioned should be easily resolved if we look at dash cam, body cam, communication between the dispatch and the officer, even using the camera systems from people's homes. If this happened in a residential neighborhood, everybody has a doorbell camera at this point. And if they don't, every other neighbor has one. So we should easily be able to find the facts of what took place. It says the Baton Rouge Police Department said the officer was driving to a call for assistance by another officer. The officer reportedly had a green light to go through the intersection, and his lights and sirens were on when Washington was struck. In February, another pedestrian was struck by an officer pulling a vehicle over for a traffic stop. An internal affairs investigation was launched. So here's the thing. This is what community pressure does, because when I picked up on this story, the cousin was the person, and she doesn't live in Louisiana. She came down when the incident happened. She lives elsewhere, but she was on TikTok. She was on Instagram. She was on Facebook, spreading the word and asking folks to amplify the story because the news media wasn't interested at the time in talking about it. But now the media is talking about it. So shout out to the family for making certain that Dwayne's story was told in such a way that the media is now taking notice. But again, I don't see a statement from Baton Rouge Police Department in terms of outside of saying that the officer was responding to a call for assistance. That's all they said. I don't see anything from the mayor, and I do know that the cousin said that she reached out to the mayor to let him know what was going on. But again, if you have conflicting stories or allegations about what took place, there's dash cam, body cam. Even some cities even have closed circuit TVs that monitor their streets. And we do know that most folk in the community have dash cam. So we should be, not dash cam, doorbell cam. So we should easily be able to put this story together and figure out exactly what happened to Mr. Washington. But in the meantime, our thoughts and prayers go out to him as he is currently on life support, not breathing on his own. And in and out of surgery. So we want to make certain that we lift him up in prayer so that he gets well soon and that we can get to the bottom of what actually took place. But look, y'all, it's always a time here, right? It's always a time. And what we were talking about earlier before we talked to Dr. Antoine Jasmine. Oh, look, I get so caught up talking to y'all, I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't even see my producer talking about, Doc, you gotta go to break. We got to go to break and pay a couple bills, but when we come back, we're going to talk about it. Let's talk about this economic development plan that is supposed to be happening in the state of Louisiana. We're going to talk about that warehouse where our unhoused individuals were being sheltered during the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about it. Stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
WBOK 1230 AM New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Dallas, Texas honored its first black police officer, William McDuff, over a century after his death. McDuff, who served in the late 1800s, was murdered weeks after taking office. The city recognized his contributions and the mystery of his story. Education Secretary Linda McMahon stated that federal funding for essential education programs will continue, even as the Trump administration moves to shut down the Department of Education. Programs will be transferred to other agencies for efficiency. Tuberculosis cases in the U.S. are at their highest in over a dozen years, with over 10,000 cases reported last year, an 8% increase from 2023. And a federal judge dismissed a copyright lawsuit against Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, ruling that music experts couldn't prove enough similarity between her song and one by Louisiana songwriter Vince Vance. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The New Orleans Teacher Job Board is hosting a citywide career fair for current and future educators. Explore open school positions, teacher certification pathways, and career growth opportunities. The career fair will take place this Saturday, April 5th, between the hours of 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. at Walter L. Cohen High School. Visit newschoolsforneworleans.org for more information and registration.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Women's History Month. Please remember that this Saturday is the last day to vote. It is actually election day. So if you missed an opportunity to vote during the early voting period, you have one last opportunity to make certain that you get out and exercise your vote. I also want to give you an update on the New Orleans United Front's monthly town hall meeting. There's a new date. It is taking place Monday, March 31st, 2025 from 5 to 7 p.m. at Cafe Istanbul, 2372 St. Claude Avenue in the Healing Center. I will moderate a conversation with Darren Lombard from the Orleans Parish Clerk's office. The discussion will be on new voting plans, policies, and employment opportunities. Refreshments will be served, and for more information, you can contact Miss Alicia Plummer. It is a new date. It was supposed to happen on the 24th, y'all, which was yesterday, but they moved it to Monday, March 31st, 2025, 5 p.m. Cafe Istanbul in the Healing Center, and we will be in conversation with Darren Lombard from the Orleans Parish Clerk of Criminal Court. So please make certain that you set your calendar. Remind yourself that there's a monthly town hall meeting happening with your Clerk of Criminal Court, Darren Lombard, happening on the 31st at Cafe Istanbul, 5 p.m. Refreshments will be served, and the food is always good, y'all. So listen, prior to the break, I mentioned that our governor was in Washington having a press conference with his president. And he was there because they were talking about this economic development, this surprise. It was supposed to be such a huge surprise, breaking news type of thing that was happening for the state of Louisiana. And what was announced is Hyundai, however you want to say it, is to build a new steel plant in Louisiana. Hyundai building a $5.8 billion steel plant in Louisiana. The Louisiana governor was at the White House for the announcement. The auto company also plans on increasing manufacturing in Georgia. And so it says President Donald Trump announced Monday that Hyundai will build a new steel plant in Louisiana. It will produce more than 2.7 million metric tons of steel a year, according to the president. The executive chair of Hyundai said the plant in Louisiana will create 1,300 American jobs. So if it's creating 1,300 American jobs, how many non-American jobs will it create? I don't know, since we're talking about deporting people and all of these sorts of things. We want to make certain that y'all honor people's humanity even when you don't need them to do something, because it seems when you need them, when you want them to problem solve, when you want them for their academic prowess, when you want them to be workers, it's okay for them to be here. You know, we just going to overlook those people, but we're going to go after these non-criminals, you know, and deport people, even if they have green cards. We're going to go to their homes and take them from their families and ship them to Louisiana and hide them out, you know, those sorts of things. Because when I hear you say it will create 1,300 American jobs, that lets me believe that it's going to create some jobs for non-Americans as well. So, I mean, but they didn't say that in the article. But, you know, I like to listen for things folk don't say. That's just, I don't know, maybe that's my superpower. It says Hyundai will be producing steel and making its cars in America. They won't have to pay any tariffs. You can't do nothing but laugh at this man. It's just, he's almost a caricature of a president. I you know, but that's why your governor was in Washington to announce this, standing alongside you know, the president and the speaker, the speaker. I guess it couldn't have been announced here in Louisiana. He had to go to Washington and stand next to the president to do so. What's also kind of telling is on this article for News Nation that I'm referencing, there's also a poll that says, how would you rank Louisiana Governor Landry as a potential presidential candidate? You can't make this up. Like, what? Look at me taking a survey. Let me stop, because I surely clicked the button. Like, you know, go tell them what you think, because, you know, we're living in some perilous times right now. But Election Day is March 29th. And as I said at the top of the show, there was also some conversations happening with media still in the room. Mics are still hot. Even though no one was at the podium, I would only assume they were waiting for the president, because I didn't watch the press conference. I don't like to watch it. I just want to go back and read about it, because I don't want to hear it. It's just foolishness. But while they were, I assume, waiting for the president, our governor was in conversation with Speaker Johnson, and they were talking about the election. And the question was asked about turnout, and, you know, what are you expecting the turnout to be? And he literally said, you know, at first he was thinking maybe like 12%, and then he hiked it up to about 18%. So they're looking between 12 and 18% of folk to show up to vote. I know, and I have it on good authority because I have not looked at it myself, but that the early voting numbers are not where we want them to be. And so all we can do now is continue to urge folk about the severity of voting on Election Day, which is March 29th. We can't begin to tell you enough how important it is to get out and vote. Like, we just have to do that. It's just, I mean, there's really no other way around it, because what I do understand is, just like the president is signing these executive orders, believing that he has more power than the other branches of government, believing that he has unilateral authority to just scribble his name on paper and just blow up the government as we know it, the same audacity that it takes to do something like that, it's the same audacity that I believe our governor is flexing when he decides that he wants to backdoor the way the state operates, right? I believe the New Orleans Home Rule Charter is getting ready to be targeted. I believe that this is like a power grab. And I believe he's watching what is taking place on a national level, and he's like, why can't I do that in the state? Right? And when you look around at all of these MAGA-loving governors who are following lockstep with the president to circumvent your civil rights and your civil liberties, you have to ask yourself, to what end? Let's talk about it. Good morning, Reverend Calhoun. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, Dr. Ashante.
Good morning.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out, why would they want to take away your constitutional protections? Why do they want to get some control over your sales tax money? Again, I do have an issue, a problem, as why all the cities and all the mayors of Louisiana is going along with that. You're not hearing any pushback from any other cities that says that Amendment 2 will limit the local control over sales tax, which simply means that Landry now would have, if Amendment 2 was to pass, that he would come in and now he can take a portion of the sales tax money that's generated in every city. Well, here's the problem. What are you going to do with it? What is he telling? When you talk about what he's shutting down, and again, there's no guarantees to the teachers whatsoever. I don't know how anyone can assume that if this money comes, that it was going to automatically go to the teachers. It goes to the charter management group here in the city, and they determine what they're going to do with that money, because I don't think they contribute to the retirement fund anyway. But again, Landry is coming in now to take away what he can from each and every city. How that impacts us, I've listened to a lot of people speak. I don't think our community actually knows the damage and the danger that's coming. Anything they can throw up against the wall, and they'll deal with the Constitution or the courts later. But right now, they're trying to just move things to where they can get control of it. Now, how you think it's going to work if Landry has to control money that goes to the schools, to the educational system, I should say?
Right.
So I do want to remind people there's going to be a live podcast tonight coming from the headquarters of Vote to speak to all 4 of these amendments. We're trying to get it live streamed across the state of Louisiana. So I'm asking anyone and everyone that's willing to tune into that podcast. We send some links out to make sure that you're able to connect. But I think it's imperative for people to know just what danger and damage that Landry can do to this city. I don't think we need to guess or play with it, but this man is actually coming to take this city away from the people that live here and put his controls in place.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm going to move on.
Listen, I appreciate you calling all the time, because we talk about the critical issues that folk are not talking about. And just as you said, I don't hear this being discussed to the level that you believe it should for something so crucial, right? So I'm glad we can talk about it here on WBOK.
Well, and I think people need to understand about the support of WBOK.
Yeah. Thank you, Rev.
WBOK is supported by advertisement dollars.
Yes.
If we want to keep it on the air, we got to start thinking about how we do support it. I know that you guys give a free form platform for almost any organization and all that. But when you have some money to spend, we need to spend it with WBOK.
Thank you for that, Rev. We appreciate you here.
Yeah.
Have a blessed one.
Bye-bye.
Listen, T-Bone, I know you're listening. I want to hear what you have to say. Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. I need
Wait, I lost you.
People.
T-Bone, say that
Can you
again.
hear me?
You cut out.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I need to point this out because a lot of people don't realize what's going on in Washington and what's going on here from a political standpoint. When you elect one side to control 2/3 or all thirds of government in America, that one political party thinks that everything they do is golden, and that is what people want. That is why in Washington you have control of the judicial branch, control of the legislative branch, and the executive branch. These people are pushing their entire agenda, not part of it, their entire agenda. That's why he's doing executive orders and get no flag back from nobody in Congress. They're going to back him. Just know, because you elected him and you elected them, they're going to back him. And while you've elected those two, they've put their own people up on the judicial branch. If you want to change this, you have to start leveling the playing field and putting another party in there. And notice I didn't say Democratic. I said another party. Because right now, the Democrats are lost in confusion. It is a land of confusion when you look at that side. You have a couple of people that's standing up, but they're not really presenting enough ideas. Jasmine, because she's fighting like she should be. She's fighting like she's still in a courtroom as a lawyer, litigating everything that these people are doing. But they have no plan. They have no direction. I liked the brother Hakeem Jeffries when he first started stepping up, but he's not doing enough. Chuck Schumer, he's stuck in the 60s somewhere.
But T-Bone, what do you think about Congresswoman Crockett saying that her and AOC both tried to step up in terms of leadership, and the caucus told them to sit down? They're doing too much to temper themselves. This is what she said they told her. So if you have your own party trying to cage you because you're pushing back against radical folk who want to implode the government, then how do we move forward as a party?
Well, it's quite simple, and I experienced this at work on a regular level. Older leadership that's been there for X amount of years get intimidated when younger people come up good in situational leadership. See, we're in a situation now that we've never been in before as a country, as a people. Jasmine Crockett, AOC, are stepping up and telling you, hey, we need to change this. But they don't have any answers. Nobody has any answers on that side. Nobody has said anything to dispute what we can do about Trump. They say, oh, we don't like this, or this is wrong. And okay, so what is your counter argument? What are we doing to change this? What can we propose to change this? And really, they can't do anything because they don't have any power. So I'm experiencing this at work right now, where you have management that's been there X amount of years. I say one thing in a meeting, that's true, and I get smited down and demoted or something like that. Because they get intimidated by somebody coming in and telling them what's wrong. But then when it actually happens, they say, oh, but yes, we need to do this. You were told this in a meeting about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
The American people were told 3 years ago about what Trump would do if he got back in office. You were told 2 years ago about Project 2025. This very station read out Project 2025. Now we're in it, and you're like, I didn't think they would actually do it.
Yeah, nobody told us that. We didn't know about that. Yeah.
I didn't think they would actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Now that you're seeing it, maybe you need to go back and read it and see the plan that they have laid out. Now, someone else said on NPR or another news agency that the Democrats need to come up with their counterman to Project 2025. They really do. Because unless we get into these midterms and flip the script on the legislature, we won't have a say until Trump gets out of office. And mind you, he is already talking about, I think I want to stay in for a third term.
Well, because he told them if they voted for him, they would never have to vote again. He wasn't playing. That's why he's trying to usurp the Constitution. That's why he's trying to destroy what makes this government
doing everything
operate.
to dismantle anything that would keep him from getting in a third time. Listen to what's going on, people.
T-Bone, I got to go to break, baby. You know I enjoy the conversation, but I have to take a break, and I appreciate
just think
you for
about what
calling
I'm
in.
saying. Yeah, I just want people to think about what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
You always, if I'm yelling, it's because there's a sense of urgency. But think about what I'm saying, y'all. All right, peace.
Thank you, T-Bone. Appreciate you. Listen, we got to go to break, Miss Jones, but hold on for me. Stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
New Orleans, are you ready? A fresh voice in the city is here, bringing you the beats, the culture, and the stories that matter. From local music and food to real talk on what's happening in the streets, we've got you covered. Stay tapped in. Follow us on all platforms at WBOK 1230 for the latest updates and exclusive content. Your city, your culture, your news. Don't just hear about it, be about it. Follow us at WBOK 1230 now.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Happening today, the search for the next leader of NOLA Public Schools continues. So first thing this morning, board members will begin their first round of interviews. The three semifinalists are Dr. Fatima Fulmore, Dr. Sharon Lattin Clark, and Dr. Dietrich Sims. Fulmore is currently the interim superintendent of NOLA Public Schools and most recently deputy superintendent for the district. Dr. Clark currently is a state board of education member, and Dr. Sims is an educator and runs a nonprofit providing services for children. After today's interviews, parents and families will get the chance to meet the candidates through town halls. Those are set to begin next week. A popular but controversial bar is one step closer to reopening its doors after a deadly shooting and a cease and desist order by the city. Shamrock was forced to close in September of last year after a deadly shooting in the parking lot. The bar also had at least 46 code violations, according to the NOFD, which triggered a cease and desist. But now the business is working on a fresh start. A legal battle over a congressional map is now in the hands of the Supreme Court, with justices hearing oral arguments on whether race or politics led to political boundaries. The redrawn map created a new majority black district in the state. Yesterday, the justices heard oral arguments about the redrawn map, questioning if the state violated the Constitution because of its focus on race. Oral arguments are now over, and there should be a ruling from the Supreme Court this summer, likely by late June. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
Connect with NOLA Public Schools. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X for the latest updates. Sign up for District Digest, our official newsletter where we share district achievements, celebrate student successes, and keep you informed about our vision of providing a high-quality education. And don't miss our school board meetings. Watch in person or live stream on YouTube. Stay informed. Stay engaged. Visit NOLAPublicSchools.com today. Again, that's NOLAPublicSchools.com.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanti. Happy Tuesday, y'all. Happy Women's History Month. If you're just joining the conversation, we were talking about all things state of this state, state of this country. And Ms. Jones is on the line. Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show, Ms. Jones.
Thank you. Good morning to you and good morning to all. Just want to say one important thing. Talk with your younger people with these telephones. Go viral every day until the election. And tell people to get out there and vote no all the way through. But just continue doing it. Go viral like everything else does. And this is but the one way, because just telling one time and, just the radio, that's fine. A lot of people don't even want to listen to radio. But pass the information like that every day. Go viral. Vote no. Just vote no. And as far as that governor, these crazy governors and his president, he followed a man with a 3rd and a half grade education, barely that. Something is wrong. And he's just deceived them. Even the Republicans who are far right, they don't realize what danger they're in. We're not a threat to them. We're not a threat to you. They just don't realize the danger. Because, like I've always said, Trump is close buddy with Putin. And if all these folks, white professors, if you really realize the history, Russia has never been a friend. And what did Elon Musk do? Did that Hitler sign of high, whatever it was? That should tell you there. No matter how prejudiced you are against us, at least realize that for yourself and for this country's sake, for us to be able to, at least we were taught. They just try to bury it up, keep it in a closet so you never know, and they don't even know. We have leaders who are blind spiritually, politically, historically, and it's bad when you don't know, but when you don't want to know, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Nobody knows everything, but when you don't want to find out, and they don't have enough look like senior white folks that are still living their old prejudice way, they should be able to compare. They know.
Yeah.
They're not saying it, but for our people and those folks of our folks who follow, want to go right wing, you don't even know what it's all about. Make America great again. They got rid of all the prisoners from Europe to build America.
I appreciate you, Ms. Jones. And the only thing that we can do is what we can do. And what we can do is vote. On March 29th, we can tell people to vote. We have to get out and vote. I think that was a clear message in terms of where we stand.
Exactly.
With all of these issues that are coming towards us. My fear is not New Orleans. I believe New Orleans is going to stand up in the way that she should. My fear is the rest of the state and how it's going to go, because they don't think for themselves. They just, if he says it, they just lockstep follow it.
You are saying a mouthful there. I'll tell you what happened when I was sitting waiting for a doctor one time. I brought somebody to the doctor. And there was this lady came from another part of Louisiana to the clinic at United Medical Center, and she didn't know too much about getting around. And I told her, so you see, if you all hadn't put Bobby Jindal in there, you'd probably have more medical facilities spread out. She didn't know, we didn't know he was running the second time. This is what she said to me. And I
Wow.
was just shocked. What do you mean? You didn't know a governor was running the second time? So people like Jeff Landry would tell them what not to do. Anybody who's been or heard about the countryside of Louisiana, sometimes they're not that literate, and they look for somebody else. They'll give them 10 chickens in a pot if you vote for me. They just all say the crook.
Thank
They
you,
are
Ms. Jones.
blind.
I appreciate you, as always. Happy Women's History Month as well.
Thank you. And Dr. Antoine, I think he's from our Jasmine family. I wanted to call and tell him to stay strong because the Jasmine women were very strong people from the Jasmine Yard along the River Road.
Absolutely. I'll pass the message on. And he might still be listening, but I'll pass that message for you, Ms. Jones. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All
Thank
right. Have
you
a good
very
one.
much.
Listen, if you're trying to call, please call back. The number is 504-582-9422. I also want to tell you about another community event that is happening today, Tuesday, March the 25th at 6 p.m. at Corpus Christi Community Center. That is 2022 St. Bernard. It is being hosted by the 1st District Police Community Advisory Board, which is PCAB. Special guests and community partners will be present, and they will be discussing how the NOPD policies and processes affect you, updates on the consent decree and sustainment plan, and addressing concerns about community safety and immigration policies. And they want to hear from you. So if you want to participate, please show up 6 p.m. Corpus Christi, 2022 St. Bernard Avenue. That is happening this evening. I just want to make sure that we get that out of the way. But here's the thing I want to talk to you guys about. And I appreciate y'all calling. I do know my producer stepped away real quickly for an emergency. But if you want to call, please, the number is 504-582-9422. I don't know if you saw it, but I saw it, and I'm going to share it with you. And this is the beauty in WBOK. I try to bring you things that you might otherwise not know about. But there's a story out there about, it's from the National Transportation Safety Board. And they are talking about the 68 bridges that they recommend for risk of collapse evaluations. And of the 68 bridges, Louisiana has quite a few bridges on the list. It says it's 8 of them. It says these 8 bridges were part of a group of 68 bridges across 19 states added to a vulnerability assessment following last year's deadly collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. Louisiana has the second most bridges listed in the report. So, everybody, when they're running for office, y'all remember, y'all think about the word they like to use, infrastructure. Oh, everybody talk about infrastructure. Well, out of the 68 bridges inside of this report, Louisiana has the second highest number of bridges on the list, with 8 of them. 8 of them. The Louisiana bridges identified include the Huey P. Long Bridge, the Crescent City Connection Bridge, Haley Boggs Bridge, Sunshine Bridge, and the Horace Wilkerson Bridge, better known as the New Mississippi River Bridge. The Huey P. Long was built in 1936, and it's classified as typical. But the Greater New Orleans Bridge, built in 1957, is listed as critical, essential. So the Crescent City Connection Bridge is critical. It was built in 1985. The Haley Boggs Bridge is listed as critical. It was built in 1983. And the bridge in Baton Rouge, which is the Horace Wilkinson Bridge, is critical, built in 1968. So New Orleans, we have the Huey P., the Greater New Orleans Bridge, and the Crescent City Connection Bridge. And only the Huey P. Long Bridge is listed as typical. The Greater New Orleans Bridge and the Crescent City Connection Bridge is listed as critical, essential. It says 5 of the 8 bridges were classified as critical or essential due to their role as major transportation links. 2 of the bridges, including the Sunshine Bridge in Donaldsonville, were categorized as typical. The report classified that the inclusion of these bridges does not indicate an immediate risk of collapse. However, the agency recommended further evaluation since the bridges exceed the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials' acceptable level of risk. So while we were spending $20+ million to light up a bridge, you telling me it's in critical condition? See, this is what I have a problem with. I have a problem with people who pretending that they're chasing waste, fraud, and abuse. You know, they got that mini Doge going on in Louisiana. But you spent all that money to light up a bridge for our visitors, kind of like you housed these people in that $17 million building, and now it's closed. Where are the people, Governor? I don't know. I don't know where the people at. But we spent $17.5 million to hide our unhoused people for our visitors, and we spent $20+ million to light up our bridge for our visitors. But we got a bridge in critical condition. And it's critical because the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials said that it's below the acceptable level of risk. $20 million to light it up, but it's in critical condition. You could put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. But I'm going to take a pause right here from talking about the hypocrisy of it all. And I want to wish my very good friend, my very fine friend, oh, she fine as she want to be, y'all. And she might be single. I don't know. I'm going to have to ask her. But it's her birthday, and I want to tell her happy birthday. And if I had music, I'll play it for you. Maybe I'll get Nara to cue up some happy birthday music for you, my girl, because you are one of one. The diva herself. Miss Antoinette Hopkins, I want to tell her happy birthday. I met Antoinette when I was working at John Ehret High School in Marrero. And I was coming to work. I think it was my first day of work, y'all. I got to make y'all laugh about this right quick. Ken, I'm going to catch you. I was going to work, and I parked on the backside, and I had to walk through the building to get to my classroom. And there was a white woman, elder to me, and she was standing in the hallway. And y'all have to understand, this is like 2011, all right? 20, somewhere around there, 2011. And I'm walking through the hallway. Y'all know I don't like to have my arms out, so I always bring something to cover up my arms because I just, I just don't like to have them out. But I had on like a top that was like sleeveless, but I had my sweater, my cardigan on my arm, and I was carrying my bag, and I was on my phone walking to my class. And this white lady don't know me from a can of paint. She said to me, "You might want to put something on your arms." And I looked at her as I was on that phone, and I said, "You might want to get out of my face." Like, that's the watered down version, because I'll get fined by the FCC if I tell you what I really told her. But please understand that she ain't never, ever, ever, ever played with me like that again, because who do you, ma'am? Because, see, I think she thought I was one of the children. But here's the thing. I don't have on a uniform. I'm not dressed like one of the children. And even if I was one of the kids, who are you to talk to me that way? Just because your arms flapping in the wind don't mean you get to criticize me having my arms out, lady. So I said all kind of seasoned words, and I went to my class. And Antoinette, I didn't know it at the time, but I was standing on duty, and I was on my phone again. Like, I answered the phone for something because I was getting ready to do duty. The kids was about to come out for lunch duty, but before they came out, I answered my phone, and something was going on, and I was cussing. Oh, I was going off. And she walked up. She said, "You must be the one that they think is my daughter." I say, "Huh?" She said, "Yeah, they coming telling me you have a daughter that work here because da-da-da-da." No, I'm not her daughter. But that's one of my really good friends, and that's how I met her, because somebody told her that she had to have a daughter because I was feisty, I guess, like Miss Hopkins, and they thought I was a child. But no, I'm not a child. I'm just a good friend. Happy birthday, Antoinette. We call her Natty Boo, baby. That's the diva herself. Happy birthday, girl. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. But good morning, Ken. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. Hey,
good
Ken.
Morning.
How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Dr. White. I am doing great. Sorry to hear about the car troubles. Off air, if I can help a bit, I may have some suggestions and might be able to help you straighten that out.
Listen,
but
somebody got to help me, because I ain't know what to do. I called my mama. Don't you know when stuff happen, you don't know what to do? Who you call? You call your mama.
Oh, mama. Well, that's okay. Naren has my information. Just reach out to me, and I'll see if I can help you get straight.
Thank you so much.
On another note, T-Bone had a whole lot of comments, but let's start with the voting, as you talked about, 18 to 21%. If you look at our numbers, and this is not just in New Orleans, this is across any city that has a large African-American population. We're only voting at best in the 30%. In big ticket, big slate elections, presidential elections, in the 40s, maybe 50s, 60s. This last time it was in the 60s, but Barack Obama was 80%. What gives you power is your vote. It is the ultimate expression of your voice and what you're doing. Setting up a third party, Very difficult. You can have a local party, but with closed primaries like Jeff Landry is talking about having, you'll be iced out of that. You'll be a write-in candidate at that point, and that's a lot more difficult to say the least. So you got to work with what you got. When we look at who we're electing, let's look at them for what they are. I just saw recently a poll come out by Ron Fortier, and Ron Fortier also had a comment which said, don't let the next mayoral contest become a popularity contest. Look at, basically what he was saying is look at who's going to deliver services. People want streets, roads, bridges fixed, and they want things to happen. And part of that is who are you going to bring with you? When we select the mayor and select the people that we vote for, who they bring with them and what are they going to do? Those are the two most important aspects you have to ask for, because politics is what people think and what they feel. That does not translate into action. That translates into, I think this person is going to do good because they've done X, Y, Z. Look at their track record, look at their pedigree, and ask yourself, in the case of a mayor, we're going to hand $1.8 billion in the form of a municipal corporation. No, it is not a business, because businesses don't operate the same way as government does. You need to be 3 steps ahead in government, because in business you can pivot and change quickly. In government, you got to have a plan. And you got to have people, more importantly, to execute that plan. But to bridges, you were talking about the critical infrastructure. Mm-hmm. With bridges, the catch is, and I was in Pittsburgh at the time when the Fern Hollow Bridge collapsed, which was a much smaller bridge, but it's not because the bridges are raggedy, just to clarify, because I've been reading and listening about this for the last few days. Mm-hmm. It's vulnerability assessment as to what if something strikes the bridge. And the Association of Highway Professionals, I can't remember the acronym and exactly what it stands for, but they're basically the people that say what should the standards be. When most of these bridges were built, and by the way, the dates you mentioned are completion dates, they aren't the start of construction date. Those are the dates that the bridges actually opened. So they were constructed 4 or 5 years before that. Mm-hmm. But those bridges, like the Crescent City Connection and the Mississippi River Bridge, those bridges are not. We don't know if something strikes them, what will come down. That's the impetus of the report. That they need to be hardened. They could have caissons, other things put around them, or buffers put around them, so that you can try to minimize or stop. And the question is, will they collapse if they hit like Key Bridge? Key Bridge, by the way, was completed in 1978. I've driven across it many times when it was there.
And Ken, it looked like it came down like Legos. Like it just fell.
It did. When I would cross the bridge, I'm like, wow, this is an old bridge. I had no idea it was constructed in 1978. And Maryland has their issues. They have another bridge called a Bay Bridge, which is like our causeway, but smaller, or better still, the twin span of Slidell, low to the water. A lot of places have neglected infrastructure. And when you pick leaders, you want to ask them, what are you going to do about that? Whether it's construction of new bridges or whether it's enhancement of old bridges like they did with the Huey P., which they did a really good job on that. But again, what are we doing? Who are we voting for? Who are we asking for? And if we're not voting, what do we have? We could have had Sean Wilson, who would have been a fantastic governor if people had gone out and voted. You have 800,000 African Americans in the state that could vote. Only 30% of them came out. Had 50% of them or 60% of them came out, Sean Wilson would have won in the primary. We wouldn't be talking about Governor Jeff Landry and whatever else he's doing or not doing. But I want to close out on the point of the $17 million, which to me was a gift to his friend for the shelter at the old Trinity Marine. And it's another marina. Trinity may not be right. It may have been Equitable Shipyard. I don't know what he paid for it, but I venture to tell you it was less than $17 million. I mean, you could have done a lot of things with that. What are our priorities? What are we asking for? People, people are getting edified through you and through the station, and I'm glad that they are. But that needs to turn into action, and that action, first and foremost, is to vote. Educate, advocate, vote, and participate in the process via giving and or voting, and tell your friends, because right now, people say, T-Bone said, it's never been a time like this in America. No, there has been a time like this. After Reconstruction was like this, when segregation started. This is a cycle. This is not new. We've seen this before. We know what this looks like. So the question is, what we don't have this time is the cohesion that we once had. Everybody's kind of like it's every man for yourself, and there's people of color. America ain't never been the best for us. So what we had was our cohesion, and we had our community. And if we do not, coalesce around that fact and start looking out for just your neighbor, start with your neighbor, start with your block, start turning out votes in your district. And if you can raise that vote up from 30% to 70%, people are going to take note, because you know what? They're going to know you're going to vote them out. And they're trying to every day take away our rights to vote, our right to speak. Yeah. And they are doing it very successfully. The bottom line is, they talk about the Democrats. The Democrats don't message well, but things that were supposed to be getting done were done. Okay, people say, well, I don't feel it in my pocket. Okay, great. You may not feel it in your pocket, but what is the overall take? What is it going to be at the end of the day? People are going to be poor by the end of this year. I said it before the election. If you don't pay attention, they're going to take your stuff. They're taking your stuff right now, right in front of your eyes in real time. So with that said, thank you, Dr. White. I'm more than willing to help you. Get my number from Naren, please.
Thank you, Ken.
I'll come by, take a look, and see if we can't get you lined up with somebody that can get you repaired and get you squared away.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Listen, we have to go to break, but I just want to tell y'all, this is why I love the WBOK listening audience, because they don't play about Doc and they love her over here. So for all of the people who don't necessarily love on me, I got enough love to go around. Don't hate on me. But Aaron, hold on for me. I want to engage with you. Stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
National World War II Museum. Located in the Warehouse District of New Orleans, the National World War II Museum tells the story of America's experience in the war that changed the world, why it was fought, how it was won, and what it means today. Visit them online at www.nationalww2museum.org for time tickets and safety information.
Welcome to The Community Scientist. I'm excited to bring you our quarterly review of the latest research. If you live or work in St. James, St. John's, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard parishes, it's vital that you have access to clear, objective information about lead, hexavalent chromium, and cadmium, and how these substances impact your health and our natural environment. The Community Scientist is a service program of Rise St. James, supported by our dedicated TCS research team. To learn more, visit risestjames.org.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Look, y'all, my friend Miss Hopkins text. She said, yeah, she's single. She said, put me in the game, Doc. She's single. We might have to get her hooked up and lined up on here. She fine as she want to be, and she retired, enjoying the good life. So listen, you got to come correct if you going to come, huh? Let's jump on the phone lines. Hey, Aaron, welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
Good
How you doing this morning? Thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
First, shouts out to the Fatherhood Round Table as well as the People's Political Party. Like the brother was just saying, the Democratic Party, man, is a shame about how they come with their messaging. If we have all these amendments on the ballot, and you don't see not one billboard, not one commercial, not one sign, not one yard sign that say vote no on all these amendments. But when each individual Democrat run for office, you see their face, their name, their phone number on every billboard, every sign, every voter registration, everything. And we wonder why in 2025 we constantly in the same boat. You have some of them who come on this radio station who constantly call and trying to blame the voters and say it's the voters' fault. But look, we voted for y'all to be our voice. And y'all can't even fight for us up in there. But then when y'all don't get the results that we've been warning y'all for years, then you want to come to the community and say, no, it's y'all fault. No. We look, first of all, we need to have the conversation on why the people even had to fathom the thought about deviating from the Democratic Party to even vote for the other side anyway. It's because of y'all lack of attention that y'all paying attention to. Again, the grassroots community been telling y'all what was going on, what was going to happen. But you know what? A lot of y'all was living high off the hog, which is why we have what we have now. And it's a shame to say that we can't point to one administration who we can say they had our best interest. Every last administration, president, mayor, whatever, black folks has always had to bear the blunt of the blow. None of them have ever had our best interest. None of them. The more we continue to sit around and accept concessions and tokenism, the more we're going to continue to be in the predicament that we have been in. Black people, our community, we have everything that we need right here in our own backyard, but yet we still waiting and begging for somebody else to come into our community and do for us what we need to be doing for ourselves. And we still wondering why in 2025 we getting what we getting, because we so happy with tokenism and concessions. Name me one, and I'm not saying you, Doc. I'm talking to the people who call this show every day with the same old jibber jabber. Name me one administration that had our best interest, where we prospered underneath that administration, whether it be the president, the mayor, the governor, or whoever. And let me remind the people, we just had a Democratic governor who covered up the Ronald Green case. Let me repeat that. We just had a Democratic governor who told Ms. Moen her son was killed because his car ran off the interstate into a tree. Man, we got to wake up out here, man. And I'm not against the vote, but I'm against making it seem like voting is our only way out of our current situation, because if it was, I'm about to be 39 in July. People have been voting before I even got here, but yet we still in the same boat. So we got to wake up. Again, we can change our situation overnight. We just have to be willing to sacrifice and do what it takes to get what it takes to get it done, period. Ain't nobody coming to save us, no matter who's running. Again, we got these 4 amendments on the ballot right now. We're supposed to be voting no for how many billboards you see in the community. I drive trucks. I'm looking at this foolish governor we got who's saying vote yes for all the amendments. From New Orleans all the way to Baton Rouge. Nothing but billboards. Where our billboards at? Yeah. But these same people who keep on running over and over and over and over again ain't doing nothing for the people. Continue to sell us out over and over again. We still going to the polls, voting these same clowns back in, expecting they're going to take and make positive change for us.
I absolutely understand you, Aaron. I appreciate your calling, too. Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, you're right.
Good morning, Miss Alicia. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Well, I'm sorry, Aaron, but I'm one of the people that call often, but my stuff I don't think is jibber jabber. And I've been saying forever that what you do is you take one thing and you generalize it, and that's not fair. I am a staunch Democrat, but I will vote Republican if they have a better Republican candidate. I will vote an independent if they have a better one, because I'm a Democrat, but I vote independently. And everybody complain about the Democrats, but it's only the Democrats that give us benefits. It's only the Democrats that's in these positions that make sure we have what we need to have. In particular, when people want to sit there and say that Trump gave them the pandemic stimulus, he did not. It was Nancy Pelosi's Democratic Congress that did all that gave us the pandemic and unemployment, that gave us the food stamps, that gave us the free health care, free vaccines, and everything that had to do with the pandemic. That wasn't Trump. That was the Democratic Congress. And I can name you 2 people two people that have done good for us in my lifetime. Dutch Morial. Dutch Morial, when he came into office, Dutch Morial opened up those jobs that was normally given to white folk, that was hidden by white folk. He opened up all those jobs, and I know so because I was fresh out of nursing school, and I went and got a job there in the city at the City Well Baby Clinics. Open up all those jobs so you had black nurses in those Well Baby Clinics, those neighborhood clinics. Edwin Edwards, he might have been a crook, but when Edwin Edwards was in office, everybody got raises every year. When a Republican got in office, Republicans didn't give us no raises, didn't give us anything. But every time Edwin Edwards got in office, state employees got raises, and they were big raises. So when you say that stuff, stop being generalized when you make your comments. Independents ain't doing nothing for you. The Green Party ain't doing nothing for you. The Libertarians ain't doing nothing for you. It's the Democrats that's fighting. And for all y'all that keep complaining, get in the war. Get on the streets with us. And just get off the phone and with all the complaints and stuff. And nobody has ever said that voting only is what you need to do. Voting is a very important aspect of what we need to do. And another thing that we do, we always want to go with the brother or the sister because we voting black because they're black. But just because they're black don't mean they're our kind. Plain and simple. And I get sick of that. And I'm really disgusted with how everybody throwing the Democrats under the bus. What is the Republicans in control of this Congress, in control of this Senate, and in control of the White House? Call the Republicans and complain to them and stop blaming everything on the damn Democrats. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Miss Alicia. Hey, Larry, it's getting close to the end. What you say?
Hello?
How you doing?
How you doing, Dr. Wise?
Good.
She said a mouthful.
She did.
It's a mouthful. But Dr. Wise, my friend from the projects, Fisher Projects, I'm not anti-white. I'm not anti-Latino. I'm not anti-Asian or anti-any ethnicity. But you know what I am?
Pro-black.
Pro-black.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be that till I die. I don't know if I have that many years left. But look, it was right. The election of the president should have told us something. Yeah. And when I look at, YouTube, I see all these podcasts. This word, well, I'm going to say it, black women are pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
And when you guys get that way, stuff going to be done. We have to galvanize. We can't worry. Look, I expect Trump to do what he do. The victor go the spoil. So, he hired all kinds of people on his cabinet. I guess because I didn't, look, I lived through Jim Crow, segregation, the 60s when we had a so-called black identity revolution, learning about our blackness. So I lived through a whole bunch of stuff and seen it. So, if we had segregation tomorrow or Jim Crow, guess what we're going to do, Dr. Wise? We will survive. So this stuff about, look, them white women deserted y'all, Dr. Wise. 92% of y'all voted for Kamala. They voted for Trump. The Latinos voted for Trump. Go through the statistics on all of them. They left us like I'd say this before, like a rat deserting a sinking ship. So we don't have to be preoccupied with what they think. We know what they're about. I mean, you guys had the same problems about being control of your bodies, abortion, and they still voted for Trump. 34 felons. He had some kind of sexual problems that we had. So he did a whole lot of things, and they still voted for him.
Yeah.
So what do that tell us as black people? Now, your girl said just now, she said, they got people that look like us, ain't us.
Yeah.
But you know what you go through most of the time, Dr. Wise? You go through a dilemma sometime. And if you read about the dilemma in the dictionary, it's a choice of two undesirables. Now, if I got a white person running a black person, and both of them undesirable, who the hell you think I'm going to vote for?
Yeah. Listen, I got to go. You might want, the front porch up next, and maybe the conversation could continue, but I got to go, Larry. I appreciate your insights. I really do. And thank you for calling in.
Thank you, darling.
You're welcome. Listen, I got to go, y'all. But what I will say is this. I appreciate the discourse that we always have here on WBOK. I agree wholeheartedly with a lot of the things that have been said here. I don't think it's so much as wanting us to blame the Democrats for what they believe is not happening. I think my criticism of it is this here. You can't try to play to the conscience of people who don't have a conscience. You can't play nice with people who waging war against you. There's no time to go high when people sit next to the devil making plans for your demise. That's how I feel. But that's just my black opinion. Everybody got their own opinion, their way of doing things. But what we have to understand is we have to have a collective understanding of what the goal is, and we all have to collectively go after it. Set aside your ego and your personal feelings, and we all go after a collective goal. Y'all stay tuned. Up next for the Front Porch with Grilling and Kimber as far as the Good Morning Show. I'll see you tomorrow. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.